I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. I'm filling in for Jerry, who usually does this Facebook Live at this time today. He's unavailable today, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to continue talking about what Jerry's been explaining the last couple of sessions. And the title of this Facebook Live is called What Works? And we all know that, in life, we have goals and we have challenges and we have things that we want to accomplish, but there's obstacles and there's often a lot of resistance to our success, whether that's personal or within a company. And what we believe at Rythmia is that success and achieving your goals really starts from within, and you have to be aligned with who you are as a person and connected to your true self in order to set appropriate goals for yourself, in order to achieve the things that you're really trying to work on. Now, one big thing that Jerry likes to talk about, which he's taught me a lot about, is consistency. Now, being in this company for the last 8 years, from the beginning with Jerry's, I've learned that he is extremely consistent. He's consistent in what he's talking about. He's consistent with his approach to the program. He's consistent with the policies and the procedures that we follow. He's just consistent. He'll do the same thing all the time once it's established as a goal and as something that he's working towards. And so the reason Rythmia is so successful in the world of plant medicine, and the reason why we're the #1 facility in the world for as far as number of guests that we've seen and our success rate and customer satisfaction, is because we're consistent. We're always doing the same thing that works. Now, there's adjustments within this system. If something's not working and we're testing it, then we can make a little small adjustment. But we didn't start off this company just whimsically saying, let's just try this or that. We had really set goals. We had really clear objectives. We thought about it for 2 years before we even opened our door. And we've been sticking to the program and having consistency. Now, it's hard to have this consistency if we feel dissociated. And we can be personally dissociated, and we can be dissociated as a company or in our careers. Now, personally dissociated is kind of what my specialty is, working in the mental health field for about 32 years. And I have a doctorate in psychology. I have a master's degree in public health. I studied at UCLA. I've been working in healthcare for a very long time. And what I've seen, the people that have success in their lives, and what I mean by success in my world is they're happy, they're not depressed, other than normal ups and downs, emotional stuff that's normal, and they're not having an anxiety disorder, they're not dealing with an addiction. That to me is success, being happy and fulfilled in your life emotionally. And so what I've noticed, that people that achieve that are people that have consistent daily practices, and they're following goal setting and plans that they've made for themselves, whether it was a 1-day goal, a weekly goal, a monthly goal, a yearly goal, a 5-year goal, and a 10-year goal. That's what I see. And there's adjustments in that depending on your background, your philosophy, but I've seen that that's what creates success, and that's what works for people. Now, how do you go about, if you feel that you're lost and you don't feel that, you're distracted, you have all these different options happening and you're confused, you might feel overwhelmed. The first thing you need to do is ground into your true identity. You have to plug in to yourself about who you are as a person. Now, every single person on the planet has become detached and dissociated at one time in their life. We believe that most people have this dissociation or this detachment from self occur when they're very young, usually between the ages of 2 and 7 years old. Because between the ages of 2 and 7, those are developmental years, emotional developmental years. And they're very important, those years. And we are formed as people during those years. It's a little scary because I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, to think that what they're experiencing right now in their lives is setting the stage for them for the rest of their life is a little overwhelming, but it usually goes pretty okay depending on the family background. But thankfully, my wife is amazing and she's guiding them very well. So, and I try. So, but during those years, those early years, we all learn that it is unsafe to be our true self. Now, we don't maybe have a full understanding of what our true self is. We're not intellectually advanced in that way. We are just being us. Think about a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old is just being himself, being herself. That's what a 3-year-old is doing. They're very authentic. But what happens if the 3-year-old is abused, abandoned, scared, or neglected? What does that 3-year-old think about things? Well, first of all, it's terrifying, because if your emotional developmental needs are not being met at that young age, then a person goes into fight or flight response instinctively to survive. And flight is not very practical because the kid can't run away necessarily. So it's in the fight mode. So what does that mean? It means that the child unplugs from the true self and then starts to perform or behave in a way and show the world or show their caregivers something that reduces the amount of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. That's the hope. So I grew up in a pretty rough environment in Los Angeles, and my family was amazing, but my neighborhood was not. And so I learned at a very young age that if I was quiet, observant, and sort of silly and funny, I could get away with a lot of attention being on me. And if there was attention on me, it was brushed off because it was just funny and I was somebody that was pleasant to be around as a little boy. And that's how I escaped some violent interactions, is that I could observe people really well, and then I could make a joke or make someone laugh if I felt that they were a threat to me. And so that was not my authentic self. I wasn't a jokester authentically. I wasn't those things necessarily my true core me. So what happened was that persona grew and it grew and it grew. And then eventually, as an adult, I was not really connected to who I really was. And there was a lot of unresolved fear, a lot of unresolved anger and disappointment that I was just bottling up, because when I was a kid, fear, anger, and disappointment are things that I felt when I was in an environment that was unsafe and dangerous for me. So what I was able to do, thank goodness, based on the program that we have at Rythmia and my own sort of experience with doing the work that I do, I was able to plug back into who I really was. And I was able to heal that unresolved anger and disappointment and fear. And I was able to feel it in a way that was appropriate, in a way that was therapeutic. Now, when I had my private practice back in Los Angeles, before coming to Costa Rica, I would do trauma work with people and I would help them try to connect with themselves in therapy. And a lot of these people were often on meds and they were seeing a psychiatrist, once a month or once every 3 months for their meds. And I was doing the medication management and collaborating with the psychiatrist. And, if I had a patient that had trauma that was trying to connect, with themselves and heal the trauma, I would say on average, it took about 12 years for that to happen. It was very long and drawn out. And the reason for that is because you have to build rapport with your therapist. You have to build confidence. I remember this one patient in particular. She told me I thought as the therapist that things were going pretty good. We had some good sessions and I knew her really well. It had been about 5 years, weekly therapy for about 5 years. And then she eventually told me about year 5.5, she says, "Now I trust you. Now I'm going to tell you what's really going on." I was like, oh my gosh, it took 5.5 years to get to that place. And I started noticing that was a theme for people that have trauma when they were kids. So what I love about Rythmia is that this process is fast, but we've been conditioned in the West to believe that healing trauma and healing addictions and healing anxiety and depression and healing things that we all go through needs to be drawn out and take forever to do. And oftentimes makes you call yourself an addict the rest of your life. That's kind of the model. Now, I'm not knocking any certain way of doing things because a lot of those approaches have helped a lot of people. But what I'm saying is I prefer a fast healing, because if I break my leg, I don't want it to take 10 years to heal. I want it to take, a couple months. Why is mental health different? Why? Well, it's because there isn't any good modalities to heal mental health issues. There isn't the safety component for people to actually heal. And there isn't the expertise necessarily around to point people in the directions they need to go. So that's why I really love what we're doing at Rythmia, because it helps people connect with themselves, do their own work, and get empowered and become who they really are and back to their true self very quickly in 1 week. So that's the beauty of it. Now, of course, the guests, after they come to Rythmia, you have to implement the tools that you learn, and you have to start to change the behavior patterns that have led you up to the point that you're at before coming. So there's a lot of work, but it's a good work because it's a work that involves your well-being. So when people say, oh, it's a lot of work to do integration, it's a lot of work to keep this momentum going. Well, yeah, but it's a good work. It's a work that's worth it. It's a work that's about your happiness and success. So once that's achieved and you're on a path of improvement and self-awareness, and you've healed a lot of the traumas and a lot of the pain that you were holding back and holding in because of fear and anxiety and stuff, once that's achieved, then you see clearly what's going to work for you in your life, and you can set goals. And it's very important to set goals. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a certain time frame to set them. Set a daily goal, a weekly, a monthly, a yearly, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year. I mean, it's very important to do all that. There's a lot of strategies on how to do that. So whatever one works for you, and I know Jerry is guiding you guys a bit on this, how to do it in the appropriate way. Truthonomics is an important component that we're using at Rythmia to help the company go down this road as well. And that's the way that you can authentically achieve the goals that you've set for yourself and figure out what is it that you're capable of. Because we believe that every person is capable of amazing things. Every person on the planet is capable of an infinite amount of expansion, growth, and success. And that depends on the person about what they are willing to achieve, what makes them happy, and what their personal goals are. My goals are not the same as this other person. We have different things that make us happy and that we're striving towards. So it's very individualized based on who you are and what you want to be happy and successful. So the thing that I love about Rythmia is that it's not just about the plant medicine. It's not just about, the breath work. It's not just about the meditation and the yoga. It's all of those things together that help you plug into yourself and connect. And that is what works to get you on the path to be successful. So, we have all these people from all over the world coming here every week. And I had no idea when we first opened. I thought most people would probably come from the US and Canada and maybe a little bit of Europe. And that's true. We have a lot of people from those countries, but we have people from all over the world. Almost every country has been here. There's a few exceptions, but people from Egypt, people from South Africa, people from different parts of Africa, all over Europe, people from Russia, people from Ukraine, people from all over the United States, Canada, people all over Asia, people from Australia, the Aussies, New Zealand, people from every part of the world have come here, and it's beautiful. People from South America, Latin America, Central America. We're in Central America, so we get a lot of people from this region as well. And I love when the people from Central America and South America come, because they're naturally connected to the program we're offering, which is the indigenous plant medicine from the shamans of mostly the Colombian Amazon basin and other parts of Latin America. And so it's a very powerful modality that the people from Latin America are very much connected to, and they can feel it when they get here. So that's beautiful. And not to mention our staff, they're Costa Rican, which are amazing. So this is a very healing environment for you to come and plug into yourself and heal all the things that have been holding you back, and then being able to set goals for yourself that help you move forward. So I've seen this, like I mentioned, in my own life, and Jerry has been a good mentor to me, because, it's always funny, doctors never know anything about business. They know about all this other stuff. Well, that's very true. and I'm a psychology doctorate, so that includes me. So business was not something that I learned in school, which is very unfortunate. And but I've been able to learn a great deal from Jerry, who has a lot of history in business and being very successful with his approach. So I'm really lucky and blessed to have his mentorship. And I know that you guys really appreciate his Facebook Lives when he explains, different things and strategies on how to get through this crazy world. And the beauty of you is that your unique set of circumstances makes you who you are. And that part is really important, because your own identity in the world the systems that exist are trying to push that down and make you one of the masses, or make you not an individual, and make you somebody that's, in a category or a box, and just, you must think this way only, and they put you in a category. And that's just ridiculous, because we all have different backgrounds that are unique to us. We all have different thought processes and ways that we want to achieve things. And so that's the strength of what our program offers, is we bring out the individuality that you have in order to have the success and the groundedness that you're looking for. So I appreciate you guys watching this Facebook Live. Jerry, I'm sure we'll be back next week. If not, I'll join you again. Thanks so much for watching. Pura vida from Costa Rica. Hope to see you guys down here.